everything is going to get an introduction. The introduction goes for everything, all right? The introduction is as follows: properly mounted and secure, not bent or broken, not cracked or damaged. So whenever we have any part on this truck, we're always going to start out with an introduction. After the introduction, we're going to go for what's unique about the truck, okay? So starting out, up top, I've got clearance lights. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to call it by name, and I'm going to give it the introduction. So I'm going for my clearance lights. They're properly mounted and secure. They're not bent or broken. They're not cracked or damaged. Then I'm going to go for what's unique about my clearance lights. So then I'm going to tell you they're amber in color. There's no water or moisture behind the lens, and they're clean and functional. So whenever we have lights, this is the other part. Whenever we have lights, whether they are clearance lights, headlights, dome lights, tractor lights, trailer lights, we are always going to say that they're clean and functional, and there's no water behind the lens, all right? After we leave our clearance lights, we're going to drop down to our windshield. The windshield is going to get an introduction first, properly mounted and secure, not bent or broken, not cracked or damaged. Then I'm going to tell you what's unique about it. What's unique about my windshield is there are no chips and there's no illegal stickers. Once I leave the front windshield, we're going to drop down to the front grille. The front grille is going to get an introduction, properly mounted and secure, not bent or broken, not cracked or damaged. What's unique about it? Nuts and bolts are present and tight, and it's free from debris. After I leave the front grille, I'm going to the front bumper. Front bumper is going to get an introduction first, properly mounted and secure, not bent or broken, not cracked or damaged. What's unique about the front bumper? Again, nuts and bolts are present and tight. After we leave the front bumper, we're going to the front license plate. Front license plate is going to get an introduction first, properly mounted and secure, not bent or broken, not cracked or damaged. What's unique about my front license plate? It's clean and visible. Clean and visible. All right? Then once I leave the front license plate, I'm going underneath the tractor. Underneath the tractor, we want to make sure that there's no leaks or no puddles. Make sure my tractor is not leaning to the left or to the right. Okay? Now, once I look underneath the tractor, I'm going to come up and over because I want to go for my headlights. Because I want to go for the headlights. The headlights will get an introduction first. Properly mounted and secure. Not bent or broken, not cracked or damaged. What's unique about my headlights? The headlights is made up of the high beam, the low beam, the turn signal, and the reflector. Again, there's no water or moisture behind the lens, and it's clean and functional. All right? Stop right there. Okay, so we're under the hood on the A card. The items that we're going to cover is going to be the radiator reservoir, the turbo, the intake, the alternator, the belt to the alternator, the water pump. Okay, the water pump is right here. Okay, it's gonna be your water pump. All right. So this is what it's gonna sound like with the detail on it. Radiator reservoir. Introduction first. Properly mounted, secure, not bent or broken, not cracked or damaged. What's unique about it? Cap is on tight, filled to the proper level, no signs of leakage. Right. Then we're going to the hoses that's coming off of the reservoir. Those hoses are rubber, so automatically I know I'm going to say that they're in good condition. They're free from abrasions, bulges, and cuts, and there's no signs of leakage. After I leave the hoses, I'm going to go to the turbo and the intake. Turbo and intake will get an introduction first. Properly mounted, secure, not bent or broken, not cracked or damaged. What's unique about it? We're going to say the clamps are on tight, nuts and bolts are present and tight. Okay? Once we leave the turbo and intake, we're going to go straight over to our alternator. Alternator gets an introduction first, properly mounted, secure, not bent or broken, not cracked or damaged. What's unique about it? The alternator is belt driven. Okay? Since we mentioned the belt, we're going to go ahead and acknowledge it. The belt is right here. Our belt is in good condition. It's free from abrasions, bulges, and cuts. There's no more than 3/4 of an inch play on that belt. No more than 3/4 of an inch play. All right? After we leave the belt, we can go ahead and acknowledge the water pump. Again, the water pump is here. The water pump is going to get an introduction, properly mounted, secure, not bent or broken, not cracked or damaged. What's unique about it is the water pump is also belt driven, and also there's no signs of leakage. Because remember, that water pump inside of that's going to push around the radiator fluid and water. Okay, that's everything for your passenger side of the engine compartment. What we're going to do now is go over to the driver's side. All right. Now we're on the driver's side of our engine compartment. The items that we're going to cover is going to be our windshield wiper reservoir, our air compressor, our power steering reservoir, the hoses to the power steering reservoir, the dipstick. Okay? After we leave our dipstick, the last item we're going to cover is going to be our air box and our air lines. Okay? Our air lines are right here. Okay? So that's itemized. Here we go with the detail. First off is my windshield wiper reservoir. Introduction first. Properly mounted, secure, not bent or broken, not cracked or damaged. What's unique about it? The cap is on tight. It's filled to the proper level. There's no signs of leakage. Then I have the air compressor. Air compressor is right here. It's going to get an introduction first. Properly mounted, secure, not been or broken, not cracked or damaged. What's unique about the air compressor? Air compressor is belt driven. Okay? All nuts and bolts are present and tight. There's no signs of leakage. Okay? Then I've got the engine oil dipstick. Now the engine oil dipstick is really unique because that's the one item that we don't have to say properly mounted and secure, not been or broken, not cracked or damaged. We don't have to give that introduction. All we have to say on it is we have to explain how it works. So once you acknowledge the engine oil dipstick, you're going to tell the examiner. Our dipstick is used to measure the amount of oil that's in our motor. How we do that is we will pull it out, wipe it off, insert it back in, pull it out again, and make sure it's above our add line. Okay? That's how the dipstick works. Moving on, we have our air box. Our air box gets an introduction, properly mounted, secure, not been or broken, not cracked or damaged. What's unique is the lid is on tight. Lid is tight, and also it has an air filter, okay, installed. Then the last item that we have are going to be our air hoses, our air lines, which are right here. Okay, they're going to get an introduction, properly mounted, secure, not been or broken, not cracked or damaged. What's unique about it? There are no illegal splices, and there's no signs of leakage. Okay, that's going to be our engine compartment in its entirety. Next, we're going to cover our suspension, followed by the steering. We'll finish up with the brakes, and then the last thing we're going to have is going to be the tire and the rims. So we can stop right there. I want to hear so you can see. Next, we're going to cover our, this is the A-card suspension. The A-card suspension, are you recording?
Yes, sir.
Okay. The A-card suspension is made up of the front leaf hanger, the leaf spring, the U-bolts, which are here and here, the upper shock mount, the lower shock mount, the shock itself, and then you have the rear leaf hanger. The rear leaf hanger is in the back. Okay? All right, so here, that was the introduction. That was the itemized. Let's put the detail on it. My front leaf hanger gets an introduction. Properly mounted, secure, not bent or broken, not cracked or damaged. What's unique about it? Nuts and bolts are present and tight. Then we have the leaf spring. Leaf spring gets an introduction. Properly mounted, secure, not bent or broken, not cracked or damaged. What's unique about it is Chapter 11 says it's not scissored or shifted. The leaf spring, okay? Then we have the U-bolts, which are here and here, okay? The U-bolts. U-bolts get an introduction, properly mounted, secure, not been or broken, not cracked or damaged. What's unique about the U-bolts is they're properly, the U-bolts are nuts and bolts are present and tight, and the U-bolts are bolted to the steer axle, okay, or the front axle, okay? Then we have our shock. Shock gets an introduction, properly mounted, secure, not bent or broken, not cracked or damaged. What's unique about it? There's no signs of leakage. Upper shock mount and lower shock mount, again, properly mounted, secure, not bent or broken, not cracked or damaged. What's unique about the shock mounts? Nuts and bolts are present and tight. Then we have the rear, our rear mounts, hanger mounts. They're going to get an introduction, properly mounted, secure, not bent or broken, not cracked or damaged. What's unique about it is all nuts and bolts are present and tight. All right? That's going to be our suspension. We can stop right there. Next, we're on the A-card steering. For the A-card steering, we have the steering shaft. We have the steering shaft, the U-joint, the gearbox, the hoses to our gearbox, our pitman arm, our drag link, our upper control arm. But these three pieces, the pitman arm, drag link, and upper control arm, you can say our three-piece linkage, okay? The three-piece linkage is made up of the pitman arm, the drag link, the upper control arm. That makes up your three-piece linkage, okay? The last one that we have is going to be the tire rod. The tire rod is back here in the back. It's that rod that runs right across. That's our tire rod, okay? All right, so this is what it's gonna sound like. Here's all the detail. Steering shaft. Steering shaft gets an introduction. Properly mounted, secure, not bent or broken, not cracked or damaged. What's unique about it? There's no more than 10 degrees of play. There's no illegal welds. U-joint. U-joint gets an introduction. Properly mounted, secure, not bent or broken, not cracked or damaged. What's unique? Properly greased, nuts and bolts are present and tight. Gearbox. Gearbox gets an introduction. Properly mounted, secure, not bent or broken, not cracked or damaged. What's unique about it? The gearbox is gear driven. Okay? Hoses to my gearbox. Introduction first, properly mounted, secure, not bent or broken, not cracked or damaged. What's unique about the hoses? There's no abrasions, bulges, or cuts. ABCs. Okay? Then we have the three-piece linkage. Remember, the three-piece linkage is made up of the pivot arm, the drag link, and the upper control arm. Again, introduction, properly mounted, secure, not bent or broken, not cracked or damaged. What's unique about it? The three-piece linkage is held together by the castle nut and cotter key, which is going to be here and here. All right? Castle nut, cotter key, castle nut, cotter key. All right? The last thing that I've got is going to be the tire rod here in the back. That tire rod's going to get an introduction first. Properly mounted, secure, not bent or broken, not cracked or damaged. What's unique about it? It is also held together by the castle nut and cotter key. All right? That's going to be the steering. We're going to stop right there.
Yes, sir, I'm ready.
All right. Next, we're about to cover our brakes. Itemized on the brakes, we have the brake hose, the brake chamber, the push rod and slack adjuster. The brake lining is going to be the one on the inside. The brake drum is the one on the outside. Okay? Brake lining, brake drum. All right? That was the itemized. Here we go with the detail. Brake hose. Brake hose is rubber, so we're going in for it's in good condition. It's free from abrasions, bulges, and cuts. It's our brake hose. Brake chamber. Brake chamber gets an introduction. Properly mounted, secure, not bent or broken, not cracked or damaged. What's unique about it? There's no dents. There's no missing parts. Okay. The push rod and slack adjuster. Push rod slack adjuster gets an introduction first. Properly mounted, secure, not bent or broken, not cracked or damaged. What's unique about it is there's no more than 1 inch of play when the brakes are released. Right? Then we're going for the brake lining. The brake lining is right here. It's going to get an introduction first. Properly mounted, secure, not bent or broken, not cracked or damaged. What's unique about it is the brake lining is not worn dangerously thin. Brake lining is not worn dangerously thin. Outside of the brake lining, we have the brake drum. Brake drum gets an introduction, properly mounted, secure, not bent or broken, not cracked or damaged. What's unique about the brake drum is there's no oil or grease in between the brake lining and the brake drum. Okay? That's going to be our brakes in its entirety. We'll stop right there.
It's all good, Mike.
All right, let me know you're ready.
Yes, sir, I'm ready.
Okay. Next, we're on our A card for the tire and rim. Remember that when we talk about our tire, we talk about our tire in 3 parts. Our inner tire wall, our outer tire wall, and then there's a tread wall. What we're going to say about the inner tire wall and outer tire wall is exactly the same. I'm going to tell you that the inner tire wall and outer tire wall are free from abrasions, bulges, and cuts, and they're properly seated in the rim. The tread wall I'm going to tell you is evenly worn. It has the correct tread depth of 4/32, and it's properly inflated, and that there are no rewraps on my tread wall. Okay? On the front steer tires, there's no rewraps. All right? From there, I'm going straight to my rim. When we talk about our rim itemized, we have the rim, the lug nuts. Behind this cap is going to be the hub oil seal, and then we have the air valve stem. All right? So that was itemized. Here we go with the detail. My rim, properly mounted, secure, not bent or broken, not cracked or damaged. What's unique about it? There's no illegal welds and there's no illegal holes. Lug nuts. Lug nuts are going to get an introduction. Properly mounted, secure, not bent or broken, not cracked or damaged. What's unique? There's no shiny metal or rust trails to indicate looseness. Okay? Then we're going for the hub oil seal. The hub oil seal is going to be behind this cap. Again, properly mounted, secure, not bent or broken, not cracked or damaged. What's unique about it? There's no signs of leakage. Now, if this hub oil seal were to leak, it could leak from the front or it could leak from the rear. If it leaks from the rear, it's going to leak in between the brake lining and the brake drum. In an earlier video, we just said the brake drum, there's no oil or grease in between the brake lining and the brake drum. That's because we were preluding, it was a prelude, preluding to our hub oil seal that could be leaking, right? The last thing that we have is going to be the air valve stem. The air valve stem is going to get an introduction, properly mounted, secure, not been or broken, not cracked or damaged. What's unique about it is the cap is on tight and there's no signs of leakage. Right? Stop our B card, itemized. I'm gonna list about halfway through, then we're gonna put the detail on it, and then we'll stop for a second, talk about it, then we'll finish it out. Okay. Itemized on my B card, I've got my side mirror, my door hinges, my door seal. Okay. Underneath the tractor, I have the battery box, the steps, the air tanks, right? Then on the back of my tractor, we're gonna cover 2 more items: my cargo light and my exhaust system. All right, we're gonna stop right there. What's unique about it? Nuts and bolts are present and tight. The mirror itself is clean. All right. After I leave the side mirror, I'm going for my door. My door gets what first? Introduction. That's right. Properly mounted and secure, not been or broken, not cracked or damaged. I'm going to make sure that the door handle works by opening the door, because that's going to allude to something else. All right. Where are we going for once we open up this door?
Hinges.
Damn right. We're going to the hinges. Hinges going to get what first? Introduction. Properly mounted and secure, not been or broken, not cracked or damaged. What's unique about the hinges is I check my hinges for looseness just by lifting up on my door some. Make sure that they're in good condition. Also, because I have my door open, what else am I about to hit? Door seal. Door seal. Now, this seal is rubber, so since it's rubber, I'm going in for what? ABCs. I'm going to say my door seal is properly mounted and secure. It's not been or broken, not cracked or damaged. The rubber seal is in good condition and is free from abrasions, bulges, and cuts. Okay. Then I'm going to close my door, and I'm going underneath the cab. Underneath the cab, we said the battery box, the steps, and the air tank. Remember, this is a battery box or a housing for my batteries. It's not a battery. Don't point to this thing and say, okay, my battery. There's a story about that, and I'll tell you guys later. But this is a battery box. Again, the battery box is properly mounted and secure, not been or broken, not cracked or damaged. What's unique about it? The battery box, there's no signs of leakage. Why? Because what's inside of here? Batteries. And what's inside the batteries? Acid. That's right. So that's why we say there's no signs of leakage. All right, very important. Then I have my steps. My steps are going to get an introduction first, properly mounted and secure, not been or broken, not cracked or damaged. What's unique about it? They're just clear from debris. Okay. You can say nuts and bolts are present inside if you want to. Okay. Then I'm going for my air tanks. Air tanks are properly mounted and secure, not been or broken, not cracked or damaged. What's unique about it? Right here. If I have a weld, I'm going to say what? No illegal welds, right? Because inside of these air tanks is what? I'm going to say no signs of leakage, right? So I'm stating the obvious, but I'm going through it, okay? So we just covered that. Now we're going to go to my cargo light. My cargo light, okay, gets an introduction first. Properly mounted and secure, not bent or broken, not cracked or damaged. Because it's a light, I'm going to be sure to say what?
No moisture.
That's right. No water or moisture behind the lens. It's clean and functional. Remember, it doesn't matter whether they're clearance lights, headlights, tail lights, tractor lights, cargo lights, dome lights. We're always going to say that there's no water or moisture behind the lens and it's clean and functional. Okay. Once I leave the cargo light, I've got my exhaust system. I've got the exhaust system. My exhaust system gets an introduction, properly mounted and secure, not bent or broken, not cracked or damaged. What's unique about the exhaust? There's no excessive soot. There's no illegal welds. All right. Let's stop right there for a second. A-frame. A-frame. Drive shaft. U-joint. Differential. Let me show you the differential from the back. Come on under. Come on under here. Differential. See that? See that, Mr. Lawson? Differential. torsion bar, tractor cross member, lights, mud flaps. Okay. All right, let's go back through and put the detail on it. We can itemize it for you now. I'm gonna put the detail on it. Catwalk. Catwalk gets an introduction. Properly mounted and secured, not bent or broken, not cracked or damaged. What's unique about it? Nuts and bolts are present and tight. It's free from debris. All right. Fuel tank. Fuel tank gets an introduction first. Properly mounted and secured, not bent or broken, not cracked or damaged. What's unique about the fuel tank? We got wells, so we're gonna say what?
No illegal wells.
We got a cap, so we're gonna say the cap is on tight. Underneath this cap, I got something very important. If I can get it out, I got something very important.
Chain.
A safety chain.
Yeah.
Safety chain and a gasket under my cap. Be sure to talk about that. Okay? And just mention it. Underneath the cap, we got a safety chain and a gasket. Okay? Yeah. Straps. Fuel tank straps. Okay? All right. So here we go. On my straps, my fuel tank straps are also properly mounted and secure. Not been or broken, not cracked or damaged. There's a little rubber piece that separates the strap that's in between the strap and the fuel tank for vibration, like when you guys are driving. That rubber, since it's rubber, we want to make sure that it's in good condition. And again, there's no abrasions, bulges, or cuts on it. All right. Let's go to the A-frame. A-frame is going to get what first, gentlemen? Introduction. All right. Properly mounted and secure, not bent or broken, not cracked or damaged. What could I say that's unique about my A-frame? I could tell you that there is no illegal holes, right? No illegal wells. Okay. Underneath the A-frame, I've got the drive shaft, which is right here. Drive shaft. Drive shaft gets an introduction, properly mounted and secure, not bent or broken, not cracked or damaged. What's unique about the drive shaft? You can say it's properly greased, right? Nuts and bolts are present and tight. The drive shaft goes right into a U-joint, right? This U-joint here. U-joint is going to get an introduction, properly mounted and secure, not bent or broken, not cracked or damaged. What's unique about that U-joint? Nuts and bolts are present and tight, okay? On the back side of that U-joint is going to be that differential. I grew up calling it a pumpkin. Don't call it a pumpkin because they're not going to accept it, right? You have to call it a differential. And if you want a better view of it, you got to come under the trailer. My differential gets an introduction, properly mounted and secure, not bent or broken, not cracked or damaged. What's unique about that differential? Nuts and bolts are present and tight. No signs of leakage, all right? And you can also say no illegal wells, okay?
Point to the differential.
Differential?
Okay.
Yeah. Like I say, some people call it a pumpkin. Yeah, the pumpkin.
That's what we used to call it.
We used to call it, yeah, a pumpkin. That's what I still call it. But they don't call it a pumpkin because they won't give you credit for it. Yeah, you got to call it a differential. All right. Then we have a tractor cross member. Tractor cross members getting an introduction, properly mounted and secure, not bent or broken, not cracked or damaged. What's unique about my cross member? Nuts and bolts are present and tight. Okay. Underneath my tractor cross member, I have my tractor lights. A lot of people miss these. Don't be one of those people. My tractor lights, right? What am I going to say? What's the introduction to my lights? What's the introduction?
No.
Properly mounted and secure, not bent or broken, not cracked or damaged. Then you're going to tell me because there's lights, you're going to say there's no water or moisture behind the lens and it's clean and functional. Now, these lights are multifunction. Because if I hit my brakes, what's going to happen to these lights?
They come on.
They're going to light, right? They're going to light up. If I turn on my signal, what's going to happen? They're going to come on. If I turn on my hazard lights, what's going to happen? They're going to come on. If I put this thing in reverse, what's going to happen? It's going to come on. So because they're multifunction, I have to tell you what the multifunctions are. I got to tell you that they're my brake lights, my service lights, my signals, and my reverse lights. Okay? Any lights that are multifunctional, you got to tell me that. All right? Now, after I leave there, I'm going for my mud flaps. My mud flaps are going to get an introduction, properly mounted and secure, not bent or broken, not cracked or damaged. What's unique about it? The mud flaps has a minimum of 8 inches off the ground. And we have our first introduction of DOT tape. The DOT tape is as follows. My DOT tape, red is for day and white is for night on the DOT tape. All right? We're almost there. Because that was my B card. But remember that I said it didn't matter which card we have. We still have to do the brakes, the tires, and the the suspension. So that's what we're about to do right now. Let's stop so that we don't make the recordings. Ready?
Yeah.
Ready? Miss Ruth, you ready?
I gotta record you.
I mean, you don't have to. I know you got all the recordings, but I'm just gonna talk about it.
All right, go ahead.
Okay.
I was looking at myself.
Okay. You was what?
Looking at myself.
So this is the B card. This is the B card, the brakes, the suspension, the rims, and the tires. The only thing that we did was we separated the tractor and the trailer so that you guys can view it, okay? Note, when you take your test, the trailer is gonna be connected, all right? So it's gonna be a different angle, all right? So for first off, let's go for the suspension. Itemize. My suspension is made up of the hanger, the spring, the leaf spring, the U-bolts, okay? U-bolt, the airbag, all right? Upper airbag mount, lower airbag mount, the shock, upper shock mount, the lower shock mount, okay? So here we go. Here goes the detail. My leaf hanger. Leaf hanger gets an introduction, properly mounted and secure, not been or broken, not cracked or damaged, okay? What's unique about the leaf hanger? Nuts and bolts are present and tight, all right? Leaf spring. Leaf spring gets an introduction, properly mounted and secure, not been or broken, not cracked or damaged. Now, even though it's a single leaf, we're still gonna say it's not scissored or shifted, okay? Then you have your U-bolts. U-bolts get an introduction, properly mounted and secure, not been or broken, not cracked or damaged. What's unique about it? U-bolts are bolted to the drive axle, okay? To that drive axle. My U-bolts, they're bolted to the drive axle, all right? Then I have my my airbag. Airbag's gonna get an introduction, properly mounted and secure, not been or broken, not cracked or damaged. What's unique about it? This airbag is rubber, so I know I'm gonna say what? Anything that's rubber? ABCs. That make sure that the airbag is in good condition. There's no abrasions, bulges, or cuts. On my airbag, I've got my upper airbag mount and lower airbag mount. Remember, we can put those together so we can say properly mounted and secure, not been or broken, not cracked or damaged. What's unique about it is nuts and bolts are present and tight. Okay. Then I've got my shock. Hey, that kind of sounds like a bell. School bell. Properly mounted and secure, not bent or broken, not cracked or damaged. What's unique about it? There's no signs of leakage. Okay. Upper shock mount, lower shock mount. Again, we can put those together because they're exactly the same. Properly mounted and secure, not bent or broken, not cracked or damaged. What's unique about it? Nuts and bolts are present and tight. Okay. All right. The only other thing that I want to mention on here, on the suspension, is going to be this torque bar, and it's right here on the front side. You guys want to come around here and look at it? It's called a torque bar, Torqu. If I didn't spell that right, I apologize, but I skipped school today. They taught us to spell. Torque bar is going to get an introduction, properly mounted and secure, not bent or broken, not cracked or damaged. What's unique about the torque bar? What could I say? It's right there in front of me. Nuts and bolts are present and tight on the torque bar. Okay. All right, that's my suspension. Next, let's go for the brakes. My brakes itemized. Can everybody see? Because I got to start down here. It's the brake hose, right? Then there's the brake chamber. All right. Behind the brake chamber, I have the push rod and slack adjuster. It's just, but let me see if I can kind of get it. It's right here. Can you guys see that? You can kind of see it real good from the other side. Behind the brake chamber is a push rod and slack adjuster. Okay. Then after the push rod and slack adjuster, again, we're going to go to the brake lining. Then from the brake lining, we go to the brake drum. All right. So here we go with the details. Starting from the top, my brake hose. My brake hose is rubber, so I know I'm going for what? ABCs, absolutely. My brake hose, we're going to say it's in good condition and it's free from abrasions, bulges, and cuts. My brake chamber gets what first? Damn right. Properly mounted and secure, not bent or broken, not cracked or damaged. What's unique about it? There's no dents. There's no signs of leakage. If this brake chamber was to leak, what would it leak? Air. That's right, because these are air brakes on these trucks. All right? They're not hydraulic. They're not like your car or your regular truck. Behind the brake chamber, we have a push rod and slack adjuster. So the first thing we're going to give it is an introduction. Properly mounted and secure, not bent or broken, not cracked or damaged. What's unique about it? Do you guys remember what we said was unique about the push rod and slack adjuster? No more than 1 inch of play when brakes are released. Okay. After we leave the push rod and slack adjuster, we're going to the brake lining. Brake lining is going to get an introduction first. Properly mounted and secure, not bent or broken, not cracked or damaged. What's unique about it, the brake lining is not worn dangerously thin. Outside of the brake lining, we have the brake drum. Brake drum's gonna get an introduction, properly mounted and secure, not been or broken, not cracked or damaged. What's unique about the brake drum, there's no oil or grease in between the brake lining and the brake drum, okay? All right, that's our brakes. We can stop right there. Next, we're gonna do our...
All right, we're good.
Go.
Ready? Recording.
Okay, here we go. This is the C card on the standard. C card is going to be your trailer. Now, itemized, we're going for our front of the trailer, clearance lights up top, side of our trailer, and our DOT. Okay? From this spot at the front of your trailer, if you stand at the front of your trailer, you can hit all 4 parts. Okay? So let's start. Here goes our detail. The front of our trailer, introduction first, properly mounted, secure, not been or broken, not cracked or damaged. What's unique? The front of your trailer can be called a header board or the bulkhead. Also, the front of your trailer is strong enough to hold weight and product. Okay? After we leave the front of our trailer, we're going for our clearance lights up top. Clearance lights get an introduction. Properly mounted, secure, not been or broken, not cracked or damaged. Amber, because they're at the front of our trailer, there's no water or moisture behind the lens, and they're clean and functional. Okay? Clearance lights only have one function, and that's to light up. Okay? After we leave our clearance lights, we're going for the side of our trailer. The side of our trailer gets an introduction. Properly mounted, secure, not been or broken, not cracked or damaged. What's unique? All of our rivets are present. No bulges, no holes. Okay? After I leave the side of my trailer, I'm going to drop down for my DOT tape. DOT reflective tape. 2 colors. Red is for day, white is for night. Okay? My DOT tape runs down the length of my trailer. All right? Your DOT tape runs the length of your trailer. After we leave our DOT tape, we start to march down the side of our trailer, and the first item we're going to come to is our landing gear. When we talk about our landing gear, remember there's 3 parts to our landing gear. We have the landing gear frame. Okay? I have my landing gear crank handle. The last part that I have is going to be the landing gear feet. All right? So here we go for our detail. Here's the detail. First off, let's start with the frame. The frame gets an introduction first. Properly mounted, secure, not been or broken, not cracked or damaged. What's unique about my frame? Nuts and bolts are present inside. Once I leave the frame, I can go to the handle. The landing gear handle gets an introduction first. Properly mounted, secure, not been or broken, not cracked or damaged. What's unique about the handle? Chapter 11 says the handle is in a stored away position. All right? Once we leave our handle, we're going down to the feet. The feet gets an introduction. Properly mounted, secure, not been or broken, not cracked or damaged. What's unique about the feet? The feet is in the raised position. Okay? Now remember, please note, your landing gear is the main source it's the main supply when your trailer is uncoupled from your tractor. Okay? It is the main source of support when the trailer is uncoupled from the tractor. All right, let's continue to march down the side of our trailer. The next 2 items we're going to come to is the trailer floor and the trailer cross members. All right, we're right here. We're on our trailer floor and our trailer cross members. Okay, the floor will go first. The floor, properly mounted, secure, not been or broken, not cracked or damaged. What's unique about my floor? There's no holes and there's no daylight. Next, I have the trailer cross members. Okay, my trailer cross members get an introduction. Properly mounted, secure, not been or broken, not cracked or damaged. What's unique about my cross members? They're all present. Okay? All right, that's underneath the trailer. Next, we have, let's go ahead and finish walking down the side of our trailer. We come to the rear of the trailer. We have our trailer clearance lights and our trailer ABS light. Now, earlier we said that all the lights on the trailer at the front were going to be amber. At the rear, we're going to be red. But we're standing at the rear of the trailer and we have an amber light. That's because this is not a clearance light. The amber light at the rear of your trailer is going to be an ABS light. But we're going to say the exact same thing. We're going to say that it's amber in color, properly mounted and secure, not been or broken, not cracked or damaged. What's unique is there's no water or moisture behind the lens and it's clean and functional. Okay? It's an ABS light though. Okay? Next, the red light at the back of our trailer. That's going to be our clearance light. Introduction first, properly mounted, secure, not been or broken, not cracked or damaged. What's unique about it? There's no water or moisture behind the lens and it's clean and functional. All right? Those are the lights that's at the rear, back of our trailer. Now we're going to go ahead and wrap around to the rear of the trailer and we'll start at the top and work our way to the bottom. There itemized. Up top, we have clearance lights. Below the clearance lights, we have the trailer door. Below the trailer door, at the bottom of the trailer door, we have our DOT tape. After we leave our DOT tape, we're going to go to our trailer lights. Inside will be brake, outside will be service. Then we're going to leave from there and go to our trailer tags, followed by the trailer bumper. The last thing we're going to talk about will be what's unique to the rear of our trailer, which will be that we have an extra set of glad hands. So here we go from the top with the detail. Up top, I've got trailer lights. They're red in color because they're in the rear, properly mounted and secure, not bent or broken, not cracked or damaged. There's no water or moisture behind the lens, and they're clean and functional. Okay? Then I'm going to the trailer door. Trailer door is going to get an introduction, properly mounted and secure, not bent or broken, not cracked or damaged. What's unique about it? All of our rivets are present and tight. The door is going to operate smoothly up and down. Okay? The bottom of our door, we have more reflective tape. The reflective tape at the rear of our trailer will run across 100% of our trailer. It runs completely across. Again, red is for day and white is for night. DOT tape. Right? Once we leave the trailer door on the reflective tape, let's go straight for the trailer lights. On the trailer lights, the inside lights will be the brake. The outside will be the service. Now, with our lights, the service lights are multifunctional, so we're going to tell you all of the functions of the service light. Okay, but let's start from the top. Lights, properly mounted and secure, not bent or broken, not cracked or damaged. There's no water or moisture behind the lens, and they're clean and functional. Inside brake, outside service. Because our service are multi, I'm going to tell you that they're going to be our four-ways, our blinkers, and our regular run lights. Okay, once we leave our trailer lights, we're going to the trailer tag. Trailer tag gets an introduction first, properly mounted, secure, not been or broken, not cracked or damaged. What's unique about it? It's clean and visible. Nuts and bolts are present and tight. Once I leave my tags, can't forget that we have a trailer tag light. Okay? Now, anytime we have lights, we're always going to say the same thing. Properly mounted, secure, not been or broken, not cracked or damaged. What's unique about it? There's no water or moisture behind the lens, and it's clean and functional. All right? Once we leave there, we're going straight for the bumper. The trailer bumper, properly mounted, secure, not been or broken, not cracked or damaged. What's unique about it? The bumper, nuts and bolts are present and tight. Okay? Last thing that I have is what's unique to my trailer. To this trailer, what's unique about it is we have an extra set of glad hands, okay? Again, red is for the emergency, and the blue is going to be my service. We can stop right there. We gotta go. We'll probably have to kind of get down there. Man, I ain't as young as I once was, but I'm still as beautiful. Right, all right, let me know when y'all are ready. Ms. Thompson. Okay. All right, here we go. So we're on the C card on the automatic, the rear of the trailer, C card, okay? What we're about to cover will be the brakes, our suspension, and our rims and tires. So from the top, let's start out with our brakes, okay? With our brakes, we're going for the brake hose. Brake hose is going to get an introduction. We're going to say the hose is in good condition and is free from abrasions, bulges, and cuts. The hose runs into the brake chamber. Brake chamber gets an introduction first, properly mounted, secure, not been or broken, not cracked or damaged. What's unique about it? There's no dents. Okay, nuts and bolts are present and tight. No signs of leakage. Remember, these brakes are air brakes. So anytime you're going to have a problem with leakage, it's going to be an air. All right. Now behind my brake chamber, I have a push rod and slack adjuster behind the brake chamber. Push rod and slack adjuster is going to get an introduction, properly mounted, secure, not been or broken, not cracked or damaged. What's unique about the push rod and slack adjuster? There's no more than 1 interplay when the brakes are released. All right. Once I leave the push rod and slack adjuster, I'm going straight for my brake lining and the brake drum. Okay, the brake lining, Outside of the brake lining, I have the brake drum. Introduction for the brake lining, properly mounted, secure, not been or broken, not cracked or damaged. What's unique about the brake lining? The brake lining is not worn, dangerously thin. Outside of the brake lining, I have the brake drum. Introduction first, properly mounted, secure, not bent or broken, not cracked or damaged. What's unique? There's no oil or grease in between the brake lining and the brake drum. All right? Okay, that's going to be our brakes. We can stop there. All right, starting out for the suspension. For the suspension, it's made up of the leaf hanger, the leaf spring. Inside the leaf, once we pass the leaf spring, we have the U-bolts, which are there, and then in the rear, we have our rear leaf hanger, okay? It's gonna be the rear leaf hanger all the way in the back, right here. Okay, so here we go from the top with our detail. Our front leaf hanger, properly mounted, secure, not been or broken, not cracked or damaged. What's unique about it? Nuts and bolts are present and tight, okay? Once I leave the leaf hanger, I'm going for the leaf spring. Leaf spring gets an introduction, properly mounted, secure, not been broken, not cracked or damaged. What's unique about it? The leaf spring is not scissored or shifted. Once I leave my leaf spring, I'm going to the U-bolts. U-bolts are going to be here, properly mounted and secure, not been broken, not cracked or damaged. What's unique about the U-bolts? Our U-bolts are bolted to the trailer axle, okay? Once I leave the U-bolts, I'm going to the rear leaf hanger. Rear leaf hanger is going to be in the back, properly mounted, secure, not been broken, not cracked or damaged. What's unique about it? Again, nuts and bolts are present and tight. That's going to be the suspension on the automatic, okay? It's a spring suspension, all right?
10-4.
10-4. Ready? Okay, so next we're going to be on the rim and the tire of the C card. Now, whenever we're talking about our trailer tires, remember they're dual tires. And since they're dual tires, we have to look in between the tires and make sure that they're not kissing or touching, all right? And also that they're evenly spaced. Now, once we've got that out the way, let's go right in for our tire. Our inner tire wall and our outer tire wall, we're gonna say exactly the same thing. We're gonna tell you that they're free from abrasions, bulges, and cuts, and they're properly seated in the rim. Once you've talked about the inner tire wall and the outer tire wall, you go straight for your tread wall. All of the information is going to be in the tread wall. When you talk about your tread wall, you have to remember ICD, inflation, condition, and depth. So this is what it's going to sound like. Our tread wall is evenly worn. That's the condition. It's properly inflated to manufacturer specs or 110. That's the inflation part. The depth on your trailer tires it's going to be 230 seconds. All right, and it's okay to have rewraps. All right, that's what we're going to say about our trailer tires. Now we're going straight for the rim. When we talk about our rim itemized, we're going for the rim, the lug nuts, the hub wall seal, and the air valve stem. All right. So this is what it's going to sound like. My rim properly mounted and secure, not been broken, not cracked or damaged. What's unique about the rim? There's no illegal welds, no illegal holes. Once I leave the rim, I'm going straight for the lug nuts, properly mounted, secure, not been broken, not cracked or damaged. What's unique about my lug nuts is there's no shiny metal or rust trails to indicate looseness. Once I leave my lug nuts, I'm going for the hub wall seal. Hub wall seal is going to get an introduction first, properly mounted and secure, not been broken, not cracked or damaged. What's unique about the hub wall seal? There's no signs of leakage. Note, if the hub wall seal were to leak, it could leak from the front or it could leak out of the rear. If it leaks from the rear, it's going to leak in between the brake lining and the brake drum. Okay, the last item that we have is going to be the air valve stem. Air valve stem is here. Again, gets an introduction first, properly mounted and secure, not been broken, not cracked or damaged. What's unique about the air valve stem? The cap is on tight and there's no signs of leakage. Stop right there.
Yes, sir.
Let me know when you're ready.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so now we're about to go over our coupling. On our coupling is made up, not only does it couple to the front of our trailer, but it also couples to the back of our tractor. Okay, we have 2 points of coupling, all right? And then we also have to cover our hoses and our electrical line, okay? So this is what it's gonna sound like from the top. First, we have my emergency glad hand. It's locked in place, it's free from damage, there's no signs of air leaks. Then I have my service glad hand. Again, it's locked in place, it's free from damage, there's no signs of air leaks. Electrical plug, locked in place, free from damage, no electrical burn or electrical wear, okay? Then I'm gonna say what I just said. I'm gonna take it at the back of my tractor and say the exact same thing, okay? My electrical plug, locked in place, free from damage, no electrical burn or electrical wear. Emergency nipple or emergency coupling, okay? It's gonna be securely mounted, free from damage, no signs of air leaks. Service coupling, securely mounted, free from damage, no signs of air leaks, all right? The best way, if you get confused, the best way I like to think of it, by this being your electrical plug, I like to think to myself, if there was an electrical fire, that would be an emergency, and we're gonna need some service, all right? That's how you can kind of remember the two in case you get them switched around, okay? Now we're going for our hoses and our electrical line, all right? So for my hoses are rubber. So what I say about anything that's rubber is I know off the bat, I know I'm going for my ABCs, okay? So I'm gonna tell you first off that my hoses, okay, are long enough that my tractor can turn left and right. They're short enough that they don't drag on the catwalk, okay? The rubber hoses they're free from abrasions, bulges, and cuts. There's no illegal splices. They're not chafed. All right. Then we have our electrical line. Our electrical line is going to be long enough that our tractor can turn left and right, and short enough that it doesn't drag on the catwalk. Okay. The electrical line is free from electrical wear. It's not electrical wear, and then it's not. There's no electric free from electrical burn. All right. So that's going to be my hoses. Now we got to finish out our coupling because we have to go under our trailer. All right. So under our trailer, here we go. Itemize the apron, the fifth wheel, the release arm, the platform. Okay. And then on the back side of the fifth wheel, we have the locking jaw and the kingpin. Okay. And we'll talk about that here shortly. First off, our apron. Apron gets an introduction, properly mounted, secure, not been or broken, not cracked or damaged. Okay. The fifth wheel gets an introduction, properly mounted, secure, not been or broken, not cracked or damaged. What's unique? Okay. We sandwich the two together, so we say that there's no light or no gap in between the apron and the fifth wheel. Okay. The release arm gets an introduction, properly mounted, secure, not been or broken, not cracked or damaged. What's unique about the release arm? It's in the engaged position. Okay. Then we have the platform. The platform is right here, properly mounted, secure, not bent or broken, not cracked or damaged. What's unique about our platform? All nuts and bolts are present and tight. Okay, it's bolted to the frame. All right. Now we're gonna go on the back side because we're gonna do our locking jaw and our kingpin. Okay. All right. Our locking jaw is that first bar that's going to go in front of the kingpin. The locking jaw gets an introduction. Properly mounted, secure, not bent or broken, not cracked or damaged. Okay? Kingpin is just behind that locking jaw. Also, introduction, properly mounted, secure, not bent or broken, not cracked or damaged. Now, here's the relationship between the two. The locking jaw goes around that kingpin to prevent uncoupling. All right? Locking jaw goes around the kingpin to prevent uncoupling. All right. And then that kingpin is properly seated in that fifth wheel. Okay. All right. That's going to be it right there. We can stop. Ready. Go ahead and turn the truck all the way off.
Yes, sir.
Know when you're ready.
I'm ready, sir. I've been recording.
Oh, okay. Okay. So what we're about to do is our end cap on the automatic. All right, so the first thing when we're on the end cap, we're going to do everything that does not require power. Then we're going to do a safe start. Then we do everything that requires power. Then we do a brake test, a tractor tug test, then a 5-mile-an-hour test. Okay, so this is what it's going to sound like. First off, everything that does not require power. The first thing that we're going to do is we start all the way to our left. We're going to go with our door handle. The door handle is going to get an introduction, properly mounted, secure, not bent or broken, not cracked or damaged. What's unique about the door handle is going to open and close our door successfully. Okay. Then on the floor, on the immediate left, in between the door and the driver's side, the driver's seat, we have the fire extinguisher. The fire extinguisher is going to get an introduction, properly mounted, secure, not bent or broken, not cracked or damaged. What's unique about it is the fire extinguisher is properly charged and rated. Okay. After we leave the fire extinguisher, we're going to go for our seat belt. The seat belt is going to be against the wall. We're going to say that the seat belt is properly mounted, secure, it's not bent or broken, not cracked or damaged. What's unique about the seat belt is it's not torn or frayed. Okay. Then what we're going to do is make sure that we grab that seat belt and go ahead and latch it. Go ahead and latch that seat belt. All right.
Put it on?
Yep. Go ahead and put it on.
Okay.
Make sure that it latches properly. Okay. Excellent. All right. Now, once we leave our seatbelt, we're going to go ahead and examine our floor. We'll make sure that the floor is in good condition, that there's no holes. There's nothing that can roll around and compromise our driving and potentially get under our pedals. Okay. Once we leave our floor, we're going to go ahead and look at the behind the passenger seat. We have our 3 emergency triangles that are properly stored away. They're properly mounted, secure. They're not bent or broken, not cracked or damaged. And we have 3 emergency triangles. Right now we're going to come up and look into the glove box, because in the glove box we'll find that we have 6 extra fuses. Those fuses are properly stored away in the glove box. 6 extra fuses. Okay. Once we leave the glove box, again, this is our second time that we're going to check that front windshield, because now we're up close. So we can check the windshield again to make sure that there's no cracks or no illegal stickers. We'll check the seal that goes around the front windshield and make sure it's in good condition, that there are no abrasions, bulges, or cuts. All right. Now that's everything that does not require power. So now what we're about to do is we're going to do our safe start, and then we're going to do everything that requires power. So to do our safe start, we'll go ahead and put our foot on the brake. We're going to turn our truck to the on position. We want to make sure that we don't have any warning lights, okay? We're going to make sure that the yellow and the red knob is pulled out, okay? All right. Now we'll go ahead and crank up the truck all the way. Excellent. That was our safe start. Now that we have power, what we're about to do is we're going to do everything that requires power, okay? So starting out, I like to start out with what's directly in front of me, okay? So I like to start out with my steering wheel. I'm going to say the steering wheel is in good condition. There's no excessive play, all right? It's not loose. There's no excessive play. Then in the middle of my steering wheel, I've got my city horn. I'll give my city horn a little toot-toot. Make sure that it's in good condition and it's working properly. Then we go all the way to the left and go up high because we have our highway horn. We'll give it a little honk honk. Make sure that it's working properly and we've got a good sound, okay? Now, I like to start all the way to the left because we work from left to right. So all the way to the left, we actually have our lights. All the way more. There you go. Go ahead and turn your lights on.
This one?
Yep. When you turn on your lights, your dash is going to illuminate. Okay, we're going to go ahead and check our left turn signal, make sure it's working properly. We're going to check the right turn signal, again, make sure it's working properly. We're going to check our four-way flashers. Four-way flashers are going to be on the dash. Right here. It's going to be the bottom one. There you go. Four-way flashers are working properly. Okay, that was our light check. We'll check our high beams, make sure the high beams are working properly. Our high beams is right here.
Okay.
Okay. Make sure our high beams are working properly. Now go ahead and turn off all your lights. Okay. Now we're going to check let's go ahead and check our windshield wipers. How you do that is you just push the hold, you push it in and hold it. Push that whole end piece in, push it in. Hold the whole end piece. Just like this. Push it in and hold it. There you go. When that windshield wiper is going to go ahead and dispense fluid, we're going to make sure that the blades are flush against the glass. Make sure that it's operating smoothly, okay? Now, after we leave our windshield wipers, we're going to go ahead and do our dash or do our gauges, okay? I'm going to turn it on so I can count the gauges. Now, the first gauge that we have is going to be the oil pressure gauge. We're going to say the oil pressure has risen, and that's at normal operating range, okay? And then whatever number it's at, we can go ahead and say 30, okay? Then we have our fuel gauge. Our fuel gauge is risen, and we have enough fuel to complete our test. Then below our fuel gauge, we have the battery gauge. Our battery gauge, again, has risen. It's at normal operating range of about 13, okay? Then we have our RPM gauge. The RPM gauge has risen, and it's at normal resting range of about 500, okay? Then we have our miles per hour gauge. The miles per hour gauge is at 0, but we'll check that when we do our 5-mile-an-hour test. Next, we have the primary and the secondary air tank gauges. They have risen, and they're at normal operating range of 120 to 140. Okay. The last gauge that we have is going to be the coolant temp. Our coolant temp gauge has risen, and it's at normal operating range of 175. Okay. That's all of our gauges. Now we're almost there because the only thing we need to check now is going to be our AC. When we check our heater and AC, we're going to turn it on. We're going to put it on the defrost. Then we're going to put it on heat. We want to make sure that we have air coming out from the high and the low side. All right, that's working good. So we're going to go ahead and turn off our AC. Now that's everything that requires power. What we did is we started with directly what was in front of us. Then we went to the left and just worked all the way over to the right. We finished with our AC. Once you get to your AC, go ahead and you're finished. Go ahead and turn your truck all the way off. Okay? Because the next thing that we're about to do now is we're about to do our brake check. So to do our brake check, we'll go ahead and turn our truck to the on position. Okay? Now that we're in the on position, the most important thing we're going to do is we're going to push in the yellow and the red knob. Excellent. We pushed in the yellow and the red knob. Now what we're doing is we're looking at our primary tanks, okay? Primary and the secondary tanks. We're going to tell the examiner we don't want to lose more than 3 PSI in 60 seconds, okay? Then we're going to start counting. I'm going to count by increments of 10. For the test, you're going to count increments of 1, all right? 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. We didn't lose more than 3 PSI in 60 seconds. Now you're going to put your foot on the brake, okay? And you don't want to lose more than 4 PSI in 60 seconds. Again, I'm going to count in increments of 10. For the test, you're going to count in increments of 1. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. All right? Now, after we've done that, what we're going to do is, now we're going to go ahead and pump our brakes or feather our brakes down, because we want our warning light to come on at 60 PSI. So continue to feather down. Keep going, both lights. Keep going. There you go. Now, our warning light came on at 60 PSI. Now what we're going to do is we're going to tell the examiner we're going to continue to feather down because we want our yellow and our red knob to pop out at 40 PSI. Keep going, keep going, keep going. There you go. The yellow and the red knob is popped out, okay? Now what we do is we're going to tell it, now that the yellow and the red knob is popped out, we're going to go ahead and crank up our truck to build back up our pressure. Now, we're building back up our primary and our secondary pressure gauge to between 120 and 140 PSI, okay? And you can give it a little bit of gas if you want to. That'll kind of help it out. So I can see. Okay, that's close enough. All right. Let me know when you start recording.
I am.
Okay. So now that we've built up our pressure to 120 to 140, what we're about to do now is we're going to do our tractor tug and our trailer tug. How we're going to do that, we'll go ahead and put our foot on the brake. Okay. We're going to push in the yellow and leave out the red. Push in the yellow, leave out the red. Okay. We're going to put it in drive. Okay. Then we're going to take our foot off the brake. And we're not going anywhere. Put your foot back on the brake. Pull out the yellow. Push in the red. Again, we're already in drive. We'll take our foot off the brake. And we don't go anywhere. Okay. Put your foot back on the brake. Now we're going to push in the yellow. Push in the red. Put it in drive. Now this time we're actually going to ride. This is our 5 mile an hour test, okay? So when we put our 5 mile, we're going to go ahead and ride forward for a few feet. Okay, then we're going to come to a nice slow stop. Excellent. Make sure our brakes work. Make sure the tractor didn't pull to the left, to the right, okay? Now once we do that, we're going to tell the examiner this completes our pre-trip inspection. Okay?